Hello and welcome. My name is Harold Baker and I'd like to tell you a tale of two busies. One of my favorite authors, John Maxwell, has one of the best stated philosophies about leadership I've ever heard. Everything rises and falls on leadership. So true. But as with all things in life, it's about perspective. And from where I stand, the employees outnumber the leadership immensely. So to put some of that power back in the hands of the people, I've amended Maxwell's philosophy a bit to everything rises and falls on stewardship. I make that distinction because stewardship is defined as the careful and reasonable management of something entrusted to one's care. I'm speaking now to all the employees. Do you know what you've been entrusted with? Nothing short of the survival of an organization and your fellow employees. To quote the great Dr. Seuss, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. You have been entrusted with organizational resources to do more than just punch a clock. But all too often we're buried in the muck and mire of the day-to-day trenches to realize three very crucial points of power. And those are that you are a crucial part of the organization. You get to control the narrative around mistakes, and that the people you work for need you as much as you need them. Symbiosis. So first, let's start off with employees are too busy to realize that they're a crucial part of the organization. It's important that each person knows how what they do advances the organization's goals. Every employee needs to know how their efforts fit into the overall big picture, but the vast majority of employees don't have a clue. They just do what they're told and collect their paycheck. They are organization-created cave people, or at least that's the perception. Well, that's a waste of their skills and the company's money, not to mention a waste of capability of everyone involved. I would challenge you with this. If you don't already know how what you do rolls into the bigger picture of your organization, ask your boss. And if they don't know, ask their boss, all the way up the ladder to the top until you get a clear picture of exactly how what you do fills a need and provides for the goals of the organization. The more clarity of purpose you have, the more you can care a whole awful lot to help make things better in ways your bosses might not have ever even noticed. So, don't be too busy to take the time to know your role. But while you're fulfilling that role, second, employees are often too busy to be transparent about mistakes. Speed and workload breed mistakes. Mistakes lead to fear, mostly of termination, and fear leads to the dark side. Wrong movie. Fear leads to hiding and hoping that no one finds out, or that you can fix it before somebody finds out. But there's a better mentality. Transparency. Growing up and now, as I'm sure you can tell, I loved Dr. Seuss. He so simplistically and perfectly explained the world around him. I hope that with the following little alliteration, I can so articulately champion my view as well. In life and in organizational projects, things go wrong. Or they take more time than assumed, or they go sideways, or you get the picture. In those times you have two options, fight or flight. In the professional world, your options are a little more message-based than mangling, but don't be fooled. Inaction is the worst reaction. You can choose to either disclose the incident, explain what happened briefly, and then enumerate how you intend to rectify the situation, or you can hide it, scramble, and try to fix it before anybody notices. The latter often resulting with egg in your face in the best scenarios, or a nuclear detonation in the worst. Framing the situation, controlling the narrative, and making sure that all parties have the relevant information are the keys to avoiding catastrophe. Everything is a matter of perspective. And when the choice to convey or cover up appears, the view is yours versus the rest of the organization. In that vein, I present to you the ABCs of transparency. You can either be the adversary or the advisor. You can either broadcast or be bombarded. You can either communicate or cause conflict. You can either disseminate information or be decimated by it. You can either elucidate enlightenment or get eliminated entirely. You can either forewarn or find failure. You can either guide or be goaded. You can either help or harm. You can either impart or implode. You can either justify or be judged. You can either be keenly knowledgeable or keep getting kicked. You can either lead or lay low. You can either make a mandate or be mangled by malice. You can either notify or nestle. You can either openly operate or be officially ostracized. You can either proactively publicize or be poorly perceived. You can either quell or quit. You can either reach out and report or riposte or retort. You can either steer toward success or selfishly settle for stalemate. You can either transmit transparency or be tight-lipped and targeted. You can either update or unravel. You can either vocalize validation or veer voraciously. You can either right or be wrong. You can either be a anecdotal synagogue or fall on a xiphoid. You can either yieldlessly yabber or be yelled at. You can either be zealous or a zero. Now, admittedly, some of those are a linguistic stretch. But the point is clear. In a world of options, communication is key, and others get to choose how they perceive you. So help them out. Communicate transparency, honesty, and openly. Make time to explain without excusing, and you'll find that you become a hero more than the villain when mistakes occur, especially in the eyes of your boss. Which brings me to my last point. Finally, third, employees are often too busy to realize the symbiosis of the employee-boss relationship, let alone to embrace it. Imagine you live in a world where what you do matters. And because of that, an organization places a person to supervise that group of very important people. Once that person is put into place, the following becomes a reality. The employee's job is to make the boss look good. The boss's job is to protect the employee. They are symbiotic. Problems happen when there's an imbalance. Like a bow and arrow, the boss is the bow. They aim and fire, but without the employee's arrow, nothing happens. Imagine a computer and a monitor, but no inputs, no outputs. Nothing happens. Employees are often too busy to realize that without you, your boss would not be able to be successful either. You are a pair-bonded team that cannot be looked at as two distinct pieces when you're trying to consider the process of success as a whole. Take out the doers, the process fails. Take out the wranglers, the doers run in different directions. This is not a statement to revolt against leaders. Quite the opposite. This is a call to unity. Too often, employees and supervisors are at odds because we're too busy to see each other's side. And with a little understanding on both ends about our roles as they're assigned, the workplace would be more peaceful and effective. So, what does it all mean? What's the point? While we're buried in the muck and mire of the day-to-day trenches of our job, we need to stop and take the time to realize three very crucial points of employee power. That you are a crucial part of the organization, you control the narrative around mistakes, and that the people you work for are symbiotically tied to you. Once those are realized discussions about the company, they can be reframed to accomplish more with less drama. Now, I would be remiss not to make this note in closing. This presentation has been a discussion from the employee's perspective, but now I want to talk to the leaders for a minute. If you are in power, it doesn't matter how you got there or what you know, you need to understand this. Your focus is always going to be torn in 1,000 different directions, but making sure your people know that you're there for them, engaged and ready to go to battle for them, will pay off with massive dividends. As a person in and from the trenches, I can promise you the output and engagement from your employees will skyrocket when they feel safe and motivated by your guidance. Be there. In the immortal words of Dr. Seuss, so be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed.